Here we go. Isaiah
Isaiah
27.
27:1. All right. So in that day, what day? We're going to say the day of the Lord. The Lord will punish Leviathan, the flaying serpent, with his fierce and great and mighty sword, even Leviathan, the twisting serpent, and he will kill the dragon who lives in the sea. So here's a mention of an idea of a dragon, right?
That's
The
right.
sea serpent, Leviathan. Wouldn't you say, Sean, it's a later interpretation or translation to use the word from the Latin dracon?
Dinosaur was the word that replaced dragon up until like the 1850s. All mentions of large reptiles were just referred to as dragons.
That's
and then that's still in modern day. It's still where we get that small reptile, the Komodo dragon, is still called a dragon, right?
Mm-hmm.
But all the various sizes of serpents in anthropology and archaeology, they would refer to them as dragons up to like the mid 1800s. And then this idea of dinosaurs and evolution came out.
Yeah. They sure did. They use, they piggybacked off of Charles Darwin theory of evolution that he put forth by presenting this concept of dinosaurs. And I really felt like they blended deception with truth. Yeah. And they just stacked up these lies on top of each other to reinforce their narrative of millions of years and billions of years of microevolutionary creation. But these creatures we're looking at tonight, they don't fit in with that story very well.
They don't. Every time I hear that, man, I just think someone should make a good trap beat with billions and billions and billions and billions. Right? You can hear that in the background just fading out as the beat comes in. That would be hilarious. And then someone's dressed up like Carl Sagan trying to dance all nerdy like. That would be pretty amazing.
Billions and billions and billions of years. Billions and billions and billions of years.
Pretty amazing track right there.
Hey, this is one I wanted to ask you about, actually, and I wasn't super positive, but I found this to be interesting. You want to read it, and we'll talk about it?
This is Habakkuk 2:17 in the ISV. It says, "Indeed, the violence done to Lebanon will overtake you, and the destruction of the beasts will terrorize you, because you shed human blood and did violence to the land, to the city, and to all who live in it. For the violence done to Lebanon shall cover you, and the destruction of the beasts which made them afraid, because of men's blood, and for the violence done to the land, to the city, and to all that dwell therein." Interesting.
So yeah, Strong's number 929. The word for beasts there is behemoth, and I know that's also a word that can refer to just cattle and regular animals of the farm, basically, or something thereof. But this seemed to be an end times prophecy when I was looking at Habakkuk 2. Are you very familiar? He's given a vision, and he's saying,
Habakkuk 3. I would definitely say Habakkuk 3. Let me jump back into Habakkuk 2 real quick.
Yeah,
take a quick look, because if this should say behemoth and it's just been translated loosely in English to say beasts, that would be interesting, right?
Yeah, it is the case, but is it referring to the behemoth that we're on the topic of tonight? I thought it was possible, especially because he says he's given a vision, so it seemed as if it was prophecy of end times to me. And you're saying Habakkuk 3 definitely is? Well then.
Well, oh yeah, that's right, because Habakkuk 2:14, the earth will be filled with the knowledge of the glory of the Lord, and as the waters cover the sea. I've always thought that was millennial reign in time reference. Yeah, and then here, verse 17 right after. So, okay, I mean, there is a lot of language in here, even all the way back up to verse 3 and verse 5 he gathers all the nations to himself and collects all the peoples as his own. So yeah, I would put this in end times, day of the Lord context.
Okay. So the beasts that are being referred to here could be the Leviathan and Behemoth, or Behemoth specifically in that passage.
Yeah, and that would be interesting, because I mean, are we really to say that the local cattle is causing people to be afraid and like it's terrified because we saw a bunch of cattle and sheep and oxen get killed?
Yeah,
but I don't know. It seems to me if you're saying that the destruction of the behemoth, which made them afraid because of men's blood, for the violence done to the land, yeah, that would make a lot more sense.
It does. Yep. And so you could even interpret that in two different ways, potentially, that the destruction of them, right? We've already read that the Leviathan will be slain, basically, and that these creatures are going to be killed. And so the destruction of them in that sense, but it could also refer to destruction that they cause, because we read in Apocalypse of Abraham that Leviathan causes destructions of the world on his movements. And so if when they come out and are they're reserved for until the last day, So when that event happens, could they create destruction? That could be what this is referring to.
Right.
Those
Oh
are
yeah.
two ways I was looking at it.
I've always thought that when they actually come out, I think this is a part of the worldwide earthquake that's already happening. Is they're also moving and come out, just like the Box of Abraham talks about earthquakes being caused by Leviathan. So I think that whenever these guys reveal themselves, there's some issues. Because I mean, if they're this big, then I could see Behemoth running across the land causing some tremors.
Yeah. Good verse, brother. What else we got?
You want this?
Isaiah 51:9 says, awake, awake in the NASB. Put on strength, O arm of the Lord. Awake as in the days of old, the generations of long ago. Was it not you who cut Rahab in pieces, who pierced the dragon? The Christian Standard Bible says, wake up, arm of the Lord, clothe yourself with strength. Wake up as in days past, as in generations long ago. Wasn't it you who hacked Rahab to pieces and you pierced the sea monster? So I thought this was interesting too, because I've never heard anybody talk about these verses in reference to Leviathan and Behemoth. But it turns out, if you'll go to the next slide, Sean.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Rahab isn't only a word that can refer to Egypt, which is it is known to be an emblematic name of Egypt. We see it spoken of with this word. Rahab is also the name of a
in city of Jericho in Joshua chapter 3. Rahab, the prostitute that helped the Israelites.
That's right. Yeah. So it means breadth, storm, arrogance, but only as names. And I think it's interesting that it says arrogance, because in another definition or another commentary on this Hebrew word, it said proud one. Right. All right. So there you go. So mythical sea monster is another definition for this word, apparently.
Yeah. So
interesting. What if that's her name?
Rahab. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Or maybe Leviathan is the name, and this is just a nickname for it. But I seem to think I'd lean towards this passage referring to a mythical sea monster of sorts. Not so mythical, actually.
Yeah, that's wild. From the inference of the idiom that the arm of the Lord always refers to the Messiah, would start to put this into conflicting territory where we have an angel that is designed, that has been dedicated and commissioned to stop and release and basically manage this large Leviathan character, whereas the arm of the Lord also can just refer to his power.
Yeah, somebody working in the power and authority of the Father, huh?
Yeah. So it could be Michael or Gabriel or Joel or whatever.
Yeah, you're right. This is you on this one.
Psalm 89:10 says, "You crushed the monster Rahab, and with your powerful arm you scattered your enemies." And then that was in the
Common English version.
The Common English version. So down in the New Living Translation, it says, "You crushed the great sea monster. You scattered your enemies with your mighty arm." Interesting. And then the Septuagint says, "You have brought down the proud as one that is slain, and with the arm of your power you have scattered your enemies." So yeah, between the Septuagint and the other translations, we have that idea of that continuity idea of this thing possibly being referred to as proud.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right. The Septuagint translated as that. So yeah, more than likely this would be in reference to the same monster, right? We get the looking like Joel here with a fiery sword, going up against the sea serpent.
And just so people understand, on the day of the Lord, when this thing is destroyed, the enemies of Yahweh are scattered by Yeshua and the angels that come back to fight them. So they 2 Ezra chapter 13 talks about they turn on themselves and they try to flee, and because they see Yeshua coming down with the angels and they try to get out of there, right? And so he does scatter his enemies, and this is why the angels have to chase everybody down all throughout the land and separate the wicked from the righteous.
And I'd imagine if these massive beast creatures, Godzilla, whatever, are coming out and trampling around, then that's going to scatter some people as well. That would probably be the case.
Yes, man, what a wild movie to live through.
I know, it would be a big day. Sean said this was his favorite slide.
Yeah, this is a great little image here. For the people surviving the day of the Lord, trying to make their way to the city of light in the far distance, because you live on a flat plane, the circular plane of the earth. You don't live on a ball, so therefore you could see the city of the Lord that's coming down through the sky. And here it is. You're still trying to make your way. Like, say you're in California, trying to make your way over to Jerusalem, and you run into this thing when you get to like Turkey or whatever. So That would be wild. Or it just could be, you know, right there on the shores of the Mediterranean Sea on Israel, right near Tel Aviv or whatever. Right when you get off the boat, you just see this thing there, and there's a whole bunch of angels on the other side of that rock on the right that are just chopping it up. Just big
Yeah,
angelic chainsaws.
I just picture a bunch of angel priests with their chef hat looking thing, right? And they're
Yeah,
dividing it among the merchants or something like
yeah,
that.
that'd be hilarious.
Sharing it with the Ethiopians and the Phoenicians.
Yes, that too. So this is Testament of Asher. You want this one?
Yeah, I found this one, just doing a word search, keyword searches in a lot of these other books, right? But Testament Asher in the Testament of the 12 Patriarchs, Asher says, "Become not my children as Sodom, which sinned against the angels of the Lord and perished forever. For I know that you will sin and be delivered into the hands of your enemies, and your land will be made desolate, and your holy places destroyed, and you will be scattered unto the four corners of the earth, and you will be set at naught in the dispersion, vanishing away as water, until the Most High shall visit the earth, coming himself, and breaking the head of the dragon in the water. He will save Israel and all the Gentiles." So that was a parenthetical statement, right? When you got those brackets. And so sometimes when you see those brackets from, R.H. Charles, who translated the Testament of the 12 Patriarchs, sometimes when you see those brackets, it's completely translator insertions, their own commentary. But other times, Sean, isn't it true that there would have been maybe broken fragments of the text that they were trying to put together, and because they had to do some guesswork, they put those brackets?
Yeah, it's called emendentation. It's a literary term for translation that if he's got multiple different language manuscripts he's working off of, and then you would have fragments of each, then they just try to fill in from the context the best they can the rest of the sentence. And so sometimes R.H. Charles would put those in brackets and other times in parentheses, but usually the parentheses, and this is where with the Testament 12 Patriarchs I've actually had a hard time finding the actual key, the legend that would tell you whether the bracket or the parentheses is the emendentation or is the language or is the text inserted from another language that he's just combining together, like he does with the Book of Enoch. That there's an actual key, there's a legend at the beginning of the Book of Enoch that explains the meaning of the symbols that you see inside the translation. So we don't get that with the Testament 12 Patriarchs, unfortunately. And so either way, this is consistent with everything we've been reading, which is the idea on the day of the Lord, when he saves all of Israel and the Gentiles, he saves them from utter destruction of the world, from Satan, the false prophet, and the beast. He also destroys the Leviathan.
So, which would be a dragon in the water.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.